Hey there, welcome to the channel. I'm Neil Notes and today I will review another album on this channel. This is episode 34 and today I will review the legendary final album by Simon and Garfunkel, and this is of course their fifth and final album, like I said, Bridge Over Troubled Water, which is also to be considered their greatest one. So Simon and Garfunkel ended on a high note. That is always a good thing to have. But yeah, my opinion about Simon and Garfunkel is, of course, that they are a legendary group. They are seen as probably the greatest folk rock duo ever, because that isn't really a thing. But Simon and Garfunkel was definitely the duo that were the most iconic, that reached the most audience, and were just great songwriters in general when they were active for a few years. I believe 5 or 6, maybe 10, but I'm not too familiar with Simon and Garfunkel. But yeah, let's go a bit into the track listing. I like the album from what I've heard. I've just listened to the entire record, but there we are. The opening song is the title track, which is Bridge Over Troubled Water, which is already one of the greatest songs that's on this album and that Simon and Garfunkel have ever written. Great harmony, great dual harmony by Simon and Garfunkel, of course, which they are specialized in. And I read here that all songs are written by Paul Simon, so Garfunkel doesn't write anything. And I think that Garfunkel is the smaller one of the two, and that Simon is the one with the curls in his hair. But correct me if I'm wrong, but because like I said, I'm not the biggest fan. I'm not the most professional one. Yeah, I think so, but I'm not sure. Just so correct me if I'm wrong. There we are. Yeah, Bridge Over Troubled Water is definitely just a classic song. Just a lot of great acoustic guitar, just a lot of great harmonies between Paul Simon and Garfunkel, of course. Yeah, I really love the song. It is a perfect opener for a legendary album, and yeah, will never be forgotten because it is so emotional. And I have definitely yet to listen to it more to give more detail to it because I know it is a very known song, but it is not really pounded into my brain. So I'm gonna listen to it more because I really like the record, but. Yeah, definitely a song that, like I said, need to listen to more to really, really appreciate it. But still, very loved it. Condor, Pasa, if I could, is yeah, also a single. Yeah, not as great in my opinion as the opening song, the title track, but still just like I said, a lot of great acoustics, just a lot of great dual harmonies, a lot of melody in this one. Melancholic was it also. It was also melancholic, to say it correct. Yeah, El Condor Pasa, if I could. I actually don't know the meaning behind the song, but it is written by Daniel Olomia Robles, arranged by George Mitchberg, and English lyrics by Paul Simon, of course. So this is actually a bit of a foreign language, which yeah, is really neat. Or it has some diversity to it, which is really needed by Paul Simon and Garfunkel because they are a bit repetitive in my opinion. But they prove with El Condor Pasa, if I could, that they could change things up. Cecilia is a bit of a more folk rock song, so especially uh, what Simon and Garfunkel are known for. Yeah, probably the most bluesy and the most folk song on here, and I'm not really the biggest fan of this. Yeah, I like the refrain that they say Cecilia, I believe. Also one of the shortest and snappy numbers on this entire album. Yeah, like I said, this is a big hit, I believe, from the album, but I'm just not a fan of the folk sound. Still really like the song, but that is definitely one thing that that is in the way. A bit of the folk sound, a bit of the foreign some background, a bit of the foreign sound on the entire album, and especially the song. Were definitely for me in the way, but I still really liked it, and it will of course go down as just a classic Simon and Garfunkel song. Keep the Customer Satisfied is actually the shortest song of this album, which was not live. Well, we'll get to that, but yeah, this is also a bit of a shorter and snappy number. Yeah, I think that the title is a bit strange. That maybe they were working at a supermarket or something, and they need to have the customer happy, and maybe this is a song to play for them, to keep them satisfied and to keep them shopping. So yeah, all what I can say about the song is that it is Walmart friendly. Yeah, this is really dumb to say, but I really don't have a lot of words to say to it. It is short, it is snappy, and for some people it is great, but for me it is just good. It is alright. Not horrible, not amazing, but still short and snappy and a classic song by Simon and Garfunkel. So Long Frank Lloyd Wright is actually one of my favorite songs of the entire album, and it is the closing song of side 1. So we have one amazing opener and one amazing closer, but between that it is a bit meh. But So Long Frank Lloyd Wright has one of the best melodies the band has ever written in their entire discography, especially on their last album, this one, Bridge Over Troubled Water. But So Long Frank Lloyd Wright has a great melody opening, which I really loved about the entire album, and it just goes. It doesn't drag on, but it goes on, and I really loved it about it, and it just felt like the song was 1 minute or something like that, which is a compliment, of course, which makes you want to listen to the song more and more to really appreciate it. But yeah, so Long Frank Lloyd Wright is, I think, saying goodbye to Frank Lloyd Wright. I don't know that guy, but there we are. But I really love the melody and the harmonies, of course, by Simon and Garfunkel. Just one of their greatest songs, in my opinion, and definitely an underrated gem. The Boxer is the opener of side 2, and this is also one of my favorite songs of the album. This is actually one refrain which is saying la la la, la 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 la. And I of course really like that because you can just great sing along to it, you can hum along to it. Stuff like that. It is also the longest song on the album, which yeah, it is 5 minutes, which says enough about the longevity for Simon and Garfunkel. Yeah, the Boxer has definitely just great picking by the duo, and I actually believe that Bob Dylan covered this on his self-portrait album, which was panned by fans and critics because he didn't want to get all the fame and all the fortune that he had, or he want to back those people off that always wanted him to make a great record, and he then released a horrible a bad album like Self Portrait. So yeah, the Boxer is definitely just a great original studio song from Simon and Garfunkel. I love it on their album. I don't really like the cover because it was not meant to be great by Bob Dylan. But yeah, just a lot of great songwriting. Definitely one of my favorite songs of the album, and just a great opener in general for side 2. Baby Driver is also one of those shorter and snappy songs. Yeah, like I said, I'm not really the biggest fan of short songs. They always end so quick, of course, and yeah, I can't get a lot out of them, and that is the same thing with Baby Driver. Definitely one of the weakest songs yet, because probably side 1 is pretty perfect, and then you get the Boxer, which is also pretty perfect in my opinion, and then you get Baby Driver, which is I think the first real disappointment of this album. Still a good, still a good song in my opinion, but definitely the most disappointing song because it's just hadn't have a lot of power. Yeah, just not. It didn't have just a lot of everything. It doesn't really stick into my mind. That is why I'm so short about it. But the song is also short, so shut up. Yeah, not shut up, of course, but I don't have a lot to say about songs that I really don't mind to hear again. I would mind to hear it again. I'm a bit confused. I'm a bit confused talking right now. A bit of a confusing talker, that is what I am. But Baby Driver is definitely also a classic Simon and Garfunkel song, but definitely the most disappointing yet. Yeah. The Only Living Boy in New York is also, it goes a bit back to So Long Frank, or no, it doesn't go back to that song. It actually continues, it is a bit of a sequel song to Baby Driver. It has definitely the most folk on it. It is a bit of a recurring song from Cecilia, I would say, and I didn't really like that song. And I don't really like The Only Living Boy in New York because they are way too folk. Because I love Bridge Over Troubled Water and So Long Frank Lloyd Wright, because they have perfect melody and they are dark but still uplifting. And The Only Living Boy in New York is a bit of a try-hard song. Simon and Garfunkel tried, in my opinion, way too hard um, to sound inspirational, but they failed to deliver that because it was just way too folk for me, way too much of folky, if that is a word, folk rock, stuff like that. Yeah, I still like the song, like I said, with Baby Driver, but definitely one of the weakest songs I've heard yet on this album. Why Don't You Ride Me is also a bit of a redundant song in my opinion. Just a lot of mass songs on side two. I would still say this is one of the yeah, just one of the songs that I still can respect. It is also just a bit of a short and snappy number, so I can't really say a lot about it. I still liked it, but it's not like I say I would love it. Just still good guitar, still good acoustic guitar from Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel, or Art Garfunkel is the drummer. Actually, I didn't know that, but Paul Simon plays the acoustic guitar. And yeah, what I like about that is that the harmonies are still intact, that the band or the duo is still sounding fresh on here, but definitely it goes downhill and downhill every song I hear on this album. It doesn't get better with track after track. It gets a bit boring after a while. So, but hey, that is my opinion. If you think the album is perfect, you can also say that. But let me know in the comments, and we can have a discussion about Simon and Garfunkel all day. Yeah, like I said, why Don't You Ride Me is still a bit of a short and snappy song, still good. But yeah, a bit of a cliche, bit of cliche writing, I think, from Paul Simon. Yeah, definitely not one of the greatest. Paul Simon could wrote better, but you have to fill the album up, and that is what they did, I think, with Why Don't You Ride Me. Bye Bye Love is actually the first song that on side two that they did live from Ames, Iowa, and I actually really preferred if they dropped the last song because it's really forgettable, and that Bye Bye Love was the last song because it is really anthemic. It is really fitting by. I mean, it is the last Simon and Garfunkel song, so it will be really fitting if the last song that they wrote it was, or they didn't even wrote it. It was Felice Bryant and Bodil Box Bryant, last song they released under their name. It would be fitting if it was Bye Bye Love, and I also really love the harmony. Bye Bye Love. Yeah, just really love those harmonies. It is a great return to form, like the Boxer, and Of course, the opener, Bridge Over Troubled Water, the title track, it is really a return to form to that, but unfortunately, they had to close it really weak with their 11 song for the Asking. Yeah, just definitely a song that is probably the most forgettable of this entire album. Also a live recording. Yeah, I think I lay down for a bit, or I was yawning because I was a bit bored with Song for the Asking. It was still good, still great acoustic, still a lot of great harmonies, like I said in the other 10 songs. But yeah, definitely I would say the weakest song. And yeah, unfortunately, it is their last song they ever released. So that is a bit of a, yeah, a bit of a disappointing song to close out. Seen by many one of the greatest albums ever, but I just didn't like Song for the Asking a lot. Still good acoustics, still good harmonies, but it was it was over before you know it. It was over very quickly, so I couldn't get a lot out of it because it was so short. And unfortunately, like I said, it is their last song they ever released. So rest in peace to Simon and Garfunkel. I can still I can still review other albums, their other 4 albums that they released. If you want me to do that, then request something in the future or on this video. Then you can request Simon and Garfunkel albums if you really love the duo. But yeah, for me, I'm not the biggest Simon and Garfunkel fan. I really love some songs like Bridge Over Troubled Water, El Condor, Pasa. So Long Frank Lloyd Wright and The Boxer, really love those songs. But for the other half of the album, I was a bit mixed. So yeah, you got some great masterpieces in my opinion on this album, and a bit of duds on the album. So it is a bit of a mixed bag for me. But I would still give it a 8.9. A 8.9 because I really like the songs like I just mentioned, but yeah, I didn't love all the songs on the album, so there we are. Yeah, like I said, still classic Simon and Garfunkel album, Bridge Over Troubled Water. Listen to it if you haven't already. It is short, it is snappy, it is only a half hour, so you will get to it in no time. Yeah, a bit boring in my opinion, but still classic, still great album. But I like some more complexity in my music, and Simon and Garfunkel is probably the most simplistic music you will ever listen to. No offense, but folk rock is not really something complex that you listen to. It is very simplistic. It is very accessible to the ear. So yeah, that is the reason why they were probably very popular around the time, but I was just not the biggest fan. Like I said, 8.9. Really love some songs here and there, but not everything on here was perfect. So there we are. Yeah, that was the album review. Thank you for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe, of course, to the channel. The almost note for more videos like this one. And let me know what for album you want me to review next in another episode. Yeah, like I said guys, this was the video. I'm thanking you again for watching the video. God bless, stay safe and take care.